Frederiksborg Castle is a palatial complex in Hillerod, Denmark. It was built as a royal residence for King Christian IV in the early 17th century, replacing an older castle acquired by Frederick II and becoming the largest Renaissance residence in Scandinavia. Christian IV commissioned a fountain for the middle courtyard as a symbol of Denmark's position as a leading Baltic power at the beginning of the 17th century, and it was one of Frederiksborg's castle's most splendid features. During the war against Sweden in 1659, it was dismantled. Its sculptures were taken to Sweden as war booty and set up in the park of Drottningham Palace near Stockholm. In 1888, J.C. Jacobson paid for a reconstruction of the fountain and had new bronze casts made from the fountain's original figures. Frederiksborg Castle was the first Danish castle to be built in England. It was also the first to be built for purely recreational purposes rather than for defense. After a serious fire in 1859, the castle was rebuilt on the basis of the old plans, work being completed in 1864. The castle was designed as a three-wing property: the chapel to the left, the king's section in the middle, and the princess's wing to the right. Following are details of the king's section facade. The main four-story building with its three wings was completed around 1610, but work continued on the chapel until 1618. The entire complex was finished around 1620, becoming the largest Renaissance building in Scandinavia. In 1659, during the Second Northern War, the castle was captured by the Swedes, who took most of its artworks as war reparations. At the time of Christian IV, this room was called the Knight's Room, and it was a dining room for the king and the ladies and gentlemen of the court. After the fire of 1859, it was restored after drawings and paintings of the room. The magnificent castle chapel dates back to 1617 and luckily survived the fire of 1859. In 1693, Christian V converted the church into a knight's chapel for the two Danish orders, the Order of the Elephant and the Order of the Dannebrog. Covering the walls of the chapel are therefore hundreds of coats of arms belonging to royalty and notabilities from all over the world. In view the shield of the reigning Danish monarch Margaret II, Grand Master of the Royal Orders. Below it hang the arms of the Prince Consort, their two sons and their wives. The gallery houses a historic organ built in 1610 by Esaias Comenius. The organ with 1001 pieces was given as a gift to the chapel in 1617 by King Christian IV's sister Elizabeth. Since the times of Christian IV, the chapel has been used as a parish church. Its impressive altarpiece was created by Jacob Moors from Hamburg in 1606. The 1660s interior of the palace chapel was saved from the big fire in 1859, and it's therefore original. The walls of the galleries display beautiful paintings depicting scenes from the life of Jesus. In 1865, Karl Bloch was commissioned to paint 23 new paintings for the rebuilt Frederiksborg Castle Church Oratory. Bloch worked on the paintings for the next 14 years. Also on display is this beautiful altar made in the early 1600s by Matthäus Walbaum of Augsburg. The Mother's Chamber, a meeting venue, is the only room that has access to the Knights' Hall, also known as the Great Hall. The focal point of the ceiling is the portrait of King Frederick III by Franz Schwarz. This large painting is Heinrich Hansen's representation of the ceremony marking Danish royal power as hereditary. Entrance to the Great Hall, meant for feasting and dancing. Also known as the Knights' Hall, it is decorated with grand chandeliers and with portraits of the Glücksborg line of kings and queens. On the left is the trumpeter balcony that was used to salute royalties when they entered the Knights' Hall. In view, the ornate king's bed. After the castle visit, we stopped at a local restaurant for a bite to eat. The girls enjoying a delicious hot chocolate. With renewed energy, we are ready for the walking tour of the beautiful castle gardens. Christian IV had built a little Italian villa which he called Sparepenge, savings, opposite the king's wing, but it was pulled down at the beginning of the 1720s to make room for Frederick IV's Baroque garden. The architect J.C. Krieger laid out the symmetrical garden, which follows the castle's main axis with a long perspective extending into the landscape. The garden was altered during the following centuries, but in the 1990s it was restored, complete with cascades and parterre flower beds. In view, the royal monograms and patterns that are created in box hedges together with grass areas, and, depending on the season, with many colorful flower beds as well. The Reventlow Memorial Column. This ferry sails Denmark's most beautiful nautical mile on the Castle Lake around the splendid Frederiksborg Castle. Christian IV's Frederiksborg Castle by Lazarus Barata, 1652.